We're at the home of Rick and Gael in Comox. They have a beautiful flower garden, dahlias. Can you tell us a bit about your yard and what you've done to it to create this beautiful garden?
Well, we've been here 7 years, and when we moved in, there was garden, but it was all pretty austere, low maintenance.
Ornamental grasses.
Ornamental grasses, things that were blue, green, and bright green all together, and textures that fit what we thought. And so it's gradually changed. We've had 2 rounds of professional help early on, kind of moving trees and creating pathways where there were none. And then we just kind of dug away at it ourselves, taking out more and more grass. We bring in 4 yards of compost every spring and top up the soil, throw seaweed on it in the fall if it's around, and we've, for example, this, which is mostly dahlias, but other things as well. A year ago was grass up to the sidewalk.
Action.
So as Rick said, it was the end of May last year that we were getting some other work done, and we had some wonderful people just dig up the dirt, which made us realize how quickly professionals could do things. And then we put a pile of compost on and had tubers for dahlias that were already in 1 gallon pots. So we just popped them into the ground, fed them a bit of fertilizer, and along with the dahlias, I won't say random things, but we had a couple of heathers that are just starting to bloom now that we had moved in there. And the purple that you see everywhere is agastache, which is one of our favorite filler plants. It just will grow anywhere, and whenever you're tired of it, you pull it out. But it provides some really nice color. And most importantly, it's really good for the bees. When we moved in here, our backyard, we had no birds. We would see a robin, and that was exciting. We had very few bees, and now we can sit and look and count 5 or 6 different species at once without looking very far. So, you know, as you move down, you can see a variety of dahlias, and we kind of got into the dahlia habit by accident, but it for sure is a habit, and I would say it's quite addictive. When you get something like this one, this one's called Show and Tell. It's just so ridiculous.
They're big.
They're
aren't
big. They're very big. And what's nice about these, last year, we had a number of tree frogs that decided to just inhabit this artifice, this red one here. I've got a wonderful picture of 2 tree frogs in that flower. And people would walk by, and then they'd come back with their cameras, and everybody in the neighborhood was entranced by it. So it's a pretty good show garden. It does take a whole lot of deadheading. The thing about dahlias is, if you did, they won't come back, but they can be pretty otherwise.
And then every year you need to dig the tubers out?
Yes and no. These tubers we dug out. The tubers along the side of the fence over there we left in last year. Living in Comox and with really good drainage. This is really exceptional soil for drainage. The tubers can last. So we're just at the point of debating which ones are we going to leave in at least for 1 year. I don't think you can leave them in more than a couple of years because they keep getting bigger and bigger and start to either be less productive or just take over the whole space.
They'll multiply like,
They do.
like a lot of them.
They do. They multiply to our next door neighbors, to our neighbors across the street. We're working on encouraging others on our street, and it's working really well. So.
And what determines the size of the dahlia? Like this one is quite large.
Well, I mean, they all have
Action.
So this is a bed that really wasn't very exciting, and we've turned it into primarily an herb bed, lavender around the front. front, various creeping times so that we don't have to weed. It has, in the spring, it's got a few random daffodils that come up. And right in the center, you can see an artichoke. There are 2 artichoke plants there that we could eat them, but really right now we have so much produce that we're happier that the bees are enjoying the thistle flowers. They don't take a whole lot of maintenance, and we really like the leaves as well. So there's an oregano that currently has 20 bunch of little skipper, were those skippers?
Yeah.
Skipper
Moths.
moths and
Bumblebees.
bumblebees,
Bumblebees.
Bees.
and it's very tasty oregano.
Mm.
Um,
There's a bronze dill.
yeah, the
Fennel.
fennel,
Oh,
bronze
fennel.
fennel.
Yeah.
Bronze fennel.
And there's a couple of peonies there in the background that were spectacular this year. They just are in their happy place. So, what we've tried with the whole garden is some kind of succession planting, so that we always have something to pick and put in a bouquet in the house, and always have some flowers. There's a nice little
Rosemary.
aster that came from Darlene at Willis Way. I was dropping off plants, and of course had to pick up a few plants. Only one made it. The deer trashed the other 2 that we bought, but for some reason they decided they didn't like this one.
That's
But-
this white one?
Yeah, it's just come into me.
There's
the last
Darlene's
couple of
aster.
days.
There.
So I'm not sure who donated the asters, but thank you.
And around this tree, we have something called pussy toes, which
Yeah, pink pussy toes.
pink pussy toes, and it's
Flowers are a bit like pussy willows. You know, they're kind of fuzzy, soft.
this is an ornamental crab apple with not very tasty crab apples on them. But the birds love them in the winter.
In February, the robins eat them.
Probably cedar waxwings come in too.
Not
We've
yet.
seen
Not yet.
cedar waxwings in the backyard. We haven't seen them in here though.
Succulents bed.
I did. I rested. It's
survived.
sort of alive.
I think it'll
And that's the
probably-
strategy with deer. If they start eating something, I just leave it out.
I love your succulents bed here.
Well, I was inspired by those ones down at the Comox Marina, and had a source of small shale rocks out near Slave Lumber in Cumberland, and most of it I put together in an afternoon.
Nice.
Oh,
And we had some succulents other places in the yard, and just kind of stuck them in and let them kind of duke it out for space.
I love that.
Works.
Gorgeous.
We've added a few things along the way. Added some distance at the back. Probably increased it in size by a third from what it initially was.
Nice.
Added a couple of cacti because the deer also find that a bit
It's a
attractive.
bit of a salad bar at times. The deer. But what can you do?
Enjoy them.
There
Back to
was
the fence was all
that bed was about 5 feet in diameter around the now dead town tree.
Yeah.
We're not unhappy with the town tree being dead because it kind of, you tell people when they're coming to your house, just look for the dead tree.
With the moss growing on it, yes.
Yeah.
Well, and it's a really, you can actually see the birds when they land in it. We had white-crowned sparrows nest in this pine, and they, as they fledge, they go from there to there to there, and back and forth.
Yeah, it's height there. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and
Or dahlias
they haven't found it yet. It was
everywhere. And what are these?
Nautia. Knautia.
Oh, they're
Something
beautiful.
native to the Macedonian steppes,
Ah.
according to the Canadian Tire label where I bought it a few years ago.
They're all related, I think, aren't they?
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's nice. Love the colors.
Well, it's kind of deadhead intensive, but
They're- And
but
those we left in over the winter.
really insect friendly.
I love how you've placed your dahlias like in amongst other things as well. It really kind of almost makes the colors more visible when you've got a backdrop of green or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, well, and this down in front of you here was garlic and potatoes until a few months ago.
Yeah, we ended up with 20 huge garlic bulbs just out of that little space.
Wow, that's great. Yeah.
And I don't know, Gail's planted some beets in there, put a little net over them,
Nice.
but it's a good sunny spot and good deep soil.
I like it. And what's this down here? It's kind of
Nigella.
nigella.
Oh,
Yeah.
Nigella, really?
Yeah.
Love in a mist.
Yeah.
It has
Oh,
beautiful,
beautiful.
little simple blue white flowers, and then
Oh, those are gorgeous. I've never seen them in real life.
Oh, look at the
the
seeds.
seeds. The seeds are used in Indian cooking.
Oh, nigella seeds.
Yeah, they're
Oh,
called kalonji.
kalonji. Nice. And
Very cool.
are they flavorful?
Go ahead.
They're subtle.
Mm-hmm.
It's very nice though. I find that this is taking over.
You're COVID free, I hope.
Yeah.
Good.
Too late
That-
now.
That last jack.
Oh, that's tasty. Almost
Not much. Not much flavor.
not much, but almost slight apple flavor. I'm hinting a bit of apple.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a Bengali 5-seed mix that has fennel and cumin and fenugreek and black mustard and these, and is quite interesting to just sprinkle on cauliflower or something.
Oh, don't do that. Do you mind if you give them to me? This is nice. Oh, these look lush.
Going to the backyard. Fuchsia, beautiful.
And this lobelia is just coming in. We had it last year, but it's really a lot healthier.
That's
this year.
gorgeous. Yes.
And our zinnias are a bit of a disappointment this year, but I didn't put a lot of effort in, so I can't really. This is one of those beds that random things get put into.
I think every property needs to have a random bed like
Yes.
that.
There's a bit of arugula in case we're short.
There we go.
Yeah. Well, it's also our staging area. Those things by the cedar tree, those little pots on the ground,
Mm.
are on their way to friends or to Darlene's little sail shell.
Sail stand.
So-
There we go. Yes.
So we dig them up, pot them up, leave them there. If they live, then they go to Darlene's. It's a pretty simple.
We have a fairly protected area in our yard. We call it the ICU for plants.
Yes.
If something's not doing so well, we put it in there in a pot and baby it along for a few years. And if it survives, it goes back in the garden. If it
Yeah.
doesn't, it goes out.
Goes out. Yeah.
Well, we look after the dahlias at Anderton Gardens, and there were a few that got really attacked by slugs or snails or something, and needed rescue. So we brought them home.
Nice.
And planted them here.
Nice.
Most of them are doing better.
And these big ones are echinacea, are they?
They are.
Echinacea.
Yeah.
Oh, they're beautiful. Ours got eaten by the rabbits, so they're only like
Oh.
8 inches tall
But
now,
those are the healthiest rabbits around.
probably. And then the owl's been getting them, so the owl's now healthy.
Oh,
Oh,
good.
that's good.
It is.
Moving up the food chain.
Yeah.
So we had a big birch tree here, obviously. It got birch borer problems and died. It was kind of dying in chunks. So last year I thought I'd kind of skeletonize it. I put up the little birdhouse. We had chickadees check on it twice, actually go inside, and I was all hopeful. But we weren't up to snuff, apparently.
Okay.
So.
And the swallows aren't interested. I guess it's too low.
Yeah, I think, yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, maybe next year.
Yeah. This is beautiful. And a little oasis.
It really is. We don't. Behind that fence is a cul-de-sac with you'll hear little kids playing, but other than that, it really is very quiet. The backyard, you can also see our food sustainability bent with strawberries and kale, things that are just sort of crammed in. And these strawberries were fabulous and are giving us a second a second bunch. Now they're just, and we don't pay them much attention, except it's your reward for being in the garden. You find one and pop it in your mouth.
That's always a treat when you're gardening.
So we have sort of two color schemes. Sort of bright and cheerful, because that's what we mostly look at. I like looking at them in the morning. And then a more kind of pink, blue, white.
And this tree, what is that?
Katsura.
A katsura, I thought so. Beautiful. Multi-stemmed. Ours is.
It's the only survivor back here. There was a cedar tree that came with the house and blew down promptly because of the funny cyclonic winds we get. This maple over here has had problems, I think, with verticillium wilt, because we have lost now 4 or 5 maples. They just, you know, like a branch will just wilt and die. Just boom.
Thank you very much for noticing.
And
Yeah, I would love if I were
left
colored.
alone, the whole tree will go eventually. The tree will fight back for a while, and that's what's happening with that
This is
maple.
incredible.
Yeah, it's a little past its prime.
Yeah, you can see that it's just a little bit, oh, but it's so beautiful, you don't want to.
And the bees really,
It's a hazelnut tree there.
That's a, yeah, it's a,
that's a witch hazel.
Witch
Oh,
hazel?
witch hazel.
yeah.
Yes.
It's even got a few flowers,
There are a few.
kind of early. Normally it flowers in February.
Ah, witch hazel. I see the flowers there now. Yes.
Yeah, but there's 1 or 2.
Oh, it's coming on late. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, and there's a frog.
Oh, really, you see one?
Yeah,
Right there.
There's
There's
the
the
frog.
There's the tree frog.
yeah. There's the tree. There's the
Beautiful.
tree frog.
Oh yeah, look at him sort of propped there.
Another tree frog.
Yeah.
He's not so sure he wants to be photographed.
We have a little bubbler under here to give a little ambiance to the garden. Nice damp corner for the frogs.
Well, and the little birds.
Ah, yes.
The siskins most lately been coming in to have a drink and a little splash around. The hummingbirds do. And
Bit of a rain garden, I guess. Is it? If you're down.
oh yeah, well
Yeah.
I made a little hole in the downspout and it drips down through the wisteria and the fish.
And your basil, that's good.
Well,
Well, that's been slugged and earwigged.
yeah.
Oh, here's something for earwigs?
No,
Flower bouquets from the garden. Honeysuckle
hmm
attracts the hummingbirds, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, no, they've
It's interesting with that
been
witch hazel.
out here most days. We have hummingbird feeders, but they almost prefer to root around in the flowers this time of year.
Gosh. That's beautiful going down there. Gardens everywhere.
Well,
More
this is
kale.
the hot side of the house, so south facing, with
For the tomatoes, yes.
yeah. So here it is. It's what, almost noon, and the sun's coming around. It's going to be shining on the tomatoes till quite late in the afternoon, which seems to suit them. The tomatoes got off to a slow start this year. I mean, they were fine. We started them indoors in mid-March, had them in a friend's greenhouse. They were probably 2 feet tall with flowers on when they were planted. These are recycled compost bins, those square plastic
Oh, yes.
pop together bins. Yeah.
Yes, they make good planters.
Yeah.
They retain the moisture more because there's
Yeah.
more soil.
Yeah, so the tomatoes
crop
didn't
of
like
tomatoes.
that 3 or 4 weeks of cold,
Damp weather.
damp weather when they first went in, and have not quite recovered. I mean, they're pretty good.
But they like it now, and they like the heat.
They like it
That's
now.
good. And lettuce down there, boy, you're lucky. Our lettuce stops growing sometime in June.
You know, Gail's tucked it away in the shade a bit there. And some peppers that are finally coming along.
Nice.
They'll redden up
More
soon,
basil.
I hope.
Beans. Oh, yes.
Yeah, these are.
More basil. Basil and tomatoes, I guess they go together.
Yeah, they do seem to be good companion plants as well as companions in the pot.
Oh, and there are the blueberries. Every house has to have blueberries.
Yes. And the white-crowned sparrows think we put them there specifically for them, and I think that's why they nest in our yard.
And the rose, the hummingbird feeder. The
Yeah. We promptly deadheaded that.
action. So thank you, Gail and Rick, for allowing us to view your garden. It's magnificent. And you have lots of dahlias in amongst everything, and I just love the way you've kind of interspersed them with other plants and your vegetable plants in there as well. It's that's
well,
really
we
kind
really
of
like
nice.
hiding little vegetables in spaces like garlic in the front yard, and that always intrigues our neighbors. But thank you, Gord, and the team as well for suggesting this. It's not something we really would have thought of, but it gave us the opportunity to look at our own garden with fresh eyes, and how do other people see it, and what are they attracted by. And I think the one message I'd have for all the Hort Society members is you should do this, because I'd like to see other people's gardens, and I think everybody would.
And it's not a lot of work. I mean, because it's not a formal garden tour with a card table and stickers at the gate.
And people asking you the names of flowers
Yeah,
or
you
plants.
just okay. Well, let's spend an hour, get it looking okay, and yeah.
It works. So thank you so much.